Hey everyone, and welcome! Are you looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Maybe something to help you drift off to sleep? Or perhaps you just enjoy the thrill of the hunt, but without all the pressure? Then you've come to the right place. In this video, we're diving deep into the world of shiny hunting in Pokémon Legends Z-A, but with a twist. We're not chasing efficiency records or speedrunning encounters. Instead, we're embracing the calm, the repetitive rhythm, and the almost meditative state that shiny hunting can induce. Think of this as less of a hardcore guide and more of a guided meditation, with the potential for incredibly sparkly rewards. For those new to the concept, shiny Pokémon are rare, alternate-coloured versions of your favourite Pokémon. Finding one in the wild is a rush, a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. Normally you're looking at around a 1 in 4096 chance of stumbling across one. That's not great, but fear not. With the shiny charm, that drops to a much more manageable 1 in 1024 chance. Still a grind, absolutely, but a grind, especially when you know the best methods, takes place in wild zones, vast, open areas teeming with Pokémon just waiting to be discovered. And hopefully, one of them will be rocking a super rare alternate colour palette. Unlike some other Pokémon games, there's no chaining or breeding to worry about here. It's all about finding the right zone, understanding the spawn mechanics, and mastering the art of the reset. Real quick, did you know that about 98% of you watching right now aren't actually subscribed? We've heard amazing feedback from you guys about how much you love our videos, so all we're asking for is one tiny click. It costs you nothing, but it helps us out immensely. Think of it as your way of saying thanks and helping grow this little community we're building together. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep this thing growing. Now, let's set the stage. We're not just throwing you into the deep end with a list of Pokémon and hoping for the best. This isn't about frantic button mashing, this is about mindful hunting. This guide is designed to provide you with the most optimal routes and methods for stress-free shiny hunting in wild zones. We'll show you how to maximize your chances without sacrificing your sanity. We'll explore the best locations like Wild Zone 8, a ground-type paradise, and learn the secrets of fast travel resets, door methods, and even how to use benches to manipulate day and night cycles to your advantage. We'll also explain the game's spawn safety net, a mechanic that preserves recent shiny spawns so you don't accidentally miss out on that elusive sparkle. And of course, we'll cover the importance of listening for that and always saving engaging. So if you're ready to trade frantic gameplay for a more zen-like approach to shiny hunting, grab your favourite beverage, find a comfy spot, and let's get started. This is your ultimate guide to relaxing shiny hunting in. Prepare to unwind, and who knows, maybe even catch a few shinies along the way. Chapter 1: Introduction to Relaxing Shiny Hunting. Have you ever thought about the simple pleasure of repetition? The satisfying click of a well-oiled machine, the gentle rhythm of rain on a window pane, or even the methodical act of hunting for digital creatures? Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about shiny Pokémon. Now, before you conjure up images of intense sweat-drenched gaming sessions, let me assure you, this isn't that. We're approaching shiny hunting from a completely different angle. Think of it as a form of digital meditation, a way to unwind and de-stress while still engaging your brain. It's a blend of patience, strategy, and a dash of pure luck, all wrapped up in the charming world of Pokémon. But what exactly shiny Pokémon? Well, imagine your favourite Pokémon, but with a unique, alternate colour palette. Maybe Charizard is black instead of orange, or perhaps Umbreon sports blue rings instead of yellow. These are shiny Pokémon, and they are incredibly rare. The allure of these rare variants is undeniable. It's a badge of honour, a testament to your dedication, and, let's be honest, a bit of good fortune. They're a collector's dream, a way to showcase your passion for the franchise, and a pretty cool flex among your Pokémon-loving friends. But more than that, the hunt itself can be incredibly rewarding. The standard odds of encountering a shiny Pokémon in the wild are roughly 1 in 4096. That's a pretty daunting number, I know. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Or perhaps more accurately, finding a differently coloured Wooloo in a field of thousands. But that's precisely what makes it so satisfying when you finally do encounter one. Now I know what you might be thinking. 1 in 4096? That sounds like a recipe for frustration, not relaxation. And under normal circumstances, you might be right. But Pokémon Legends, Z-A is introducing something that changes the game entirely: wild zones. These expansive open areas are teeming with Pokémon, offering unprecedented opportunities for shiny hunting. Think of it as a vast playground where you can put your shiny hunting skills to the test. These wild zones aren't just pretty landscapes, they're carefully designed to maximize your chances of finding that elusive shiny. But the wild zones are more than just open fields. They are dynamic ecosystems teeming with life, each with its own unique challenges and opportunities. Understanding how these zones function is key to turning that daunting 1 in 4096 chance into something far more manageable, even, dare I say, relaxing. And that's where this guide comes in. We're going to explore the most effective routes and methods for shiny hunting in these wild zones, specifically tailored for those who are looking for a stress-free experience. We'll show you how to optimize your encounters, minimize travel time, and even create a relaxing atmosphere that will make the hunt enjoyable, even if you don't find a shiny right away. Imagine yourself, headphones on, lost in the immersive world of Pokémon Legends Z-A. The gentle sounds of the environment fill your ears, the rhythmic tapping of buttons becomes almost meditative, and the anticipation of that shimmering sparkle keeps you engaged, but not stressed. That's the goal. That's the vision. We'll be focusing on techniques that require minimal effort and maximum efficiency, allowing you to kick back, relax, and let the shinies come to you. Forget about complex strategies and demanding gameplay. We're embracing a slower, more deliberate approach, one that's perfect for winding down after a long day. This isn't about speedrunning or maximizing your shiny count per hour. It's about enjoying the journey, appreciating the world of Pokémon, and finding a sense of calm in the pursuit of something rare and beautiful. Think of it as a mindful activity, a way to connect with the game on a deeper level, and maybe, just maybe, stumble upon a shiny Pokémon along the way. So, if you're ready to embark on a relaxing and rewarding shiny hunting adventure, then stick around. We're going to unveil the secrets of the wild zones, share our favourite techniques, and help you transform shiny hunting into a truly enjoyable experience. In this guide, we'll equip you with the knowledge to transform the daunting odds into a manageable, even predictable endeavour. We'll show you how to bend the mechanics of the game to your advantage, all while maintaining a calm and collected mindset. We'll explore the best locations, the most effective strategies, and the secrets to creating the perfect shiny hunting environment. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a complete newcomer, this guide will provide you with the tools and knowledge you need to succeed. The thrill of the hunt, the satisfaction of finding a shiny, and the relaxation of a repetitive task. It's a surprisingly potent combination, and with Pokémon Legends Z-A and its wild zones, it's never been easier to experience. So, get ready to dive in, because the world of relaxing shiny hunting awaits. This guide isn't just about finding shiny Pokémon, it's about finding a way to enjoy the process. It's about creating a space where you can unwind, de-stress, and maybe, just maybe, add a few more sparkling creatures to your collection. We're not just chasing pixels, we're cultivating patience, embracing the unexpected and finding joy in the simple act of repetition. This isn't a race to the finish line. It's a leisurely stroll through a vibrant world, with the potential for a delightful surprise around every corner. So take a deep breath, clear your mind, and prepare to embark on a journey of relaxation and discovery. The wild zones are waiting, and the shiny Pokémon are out there, ready to be found. Are you ready to begin? But before we dive into the best locations and strategies, we need to understand the fundamentals. What exactly are the odds of finding a shiny Pokémon, and how do the wild zones affect those odds? That's what we'll be exploring in the next chapter, where we'll delve into the fascinating world of shiny rates and mechanics. Get ready to crunch some numbers, because understanding the math is the first step to mastering the art of relaxing shiny hunting. Chapter 2. Understanding shiny rates and mechanics. Okay, so you're ready to embark on your relaxing shiny hunting journey. But before we can truly unwind and let the process soothe us, it's important to understand the basics. We need to talk about shiny rates, how they work in Pokémon Legends Z-A, and what that means for your odds of finding that elusive colour-shifted Pokémon. Let's start with the big one, the base shiny rate. In most modern Pokémon games, including Legends Z-A, the odds of encountering a shiny Pokémon in the wild are approximately 1 in 4, 0 and 96. Think about that for a moment. For every 4, in Jurassic Pokémon that spawn, only one, on average, will be shiny. That might sound daunting, and honestly it is. But that's also part of what makes finding a shiny so rewarding. It's a testament to your patience, your dedication, and perhaps just a little bit of luck. Now I know what you're thinking. Is there any way to improve those odds? And the answer, thankfully, is yes. This is where the shiny charm comes in. This key item, typically obtained by completing the Pokédex, significantly boosts your chances of finding a shiny Pokémon. How significant? Well, with the shiny charm in your possession, your odds jump to roughly 1 in 1, 0.24. That's a massive improvement. It essentially quadruples your chances of encountering a shiny. So, if you're serious about shiny hunting, especially if you want to keep things as relaxing and stress-free as possible, obtaining the shiny charm should be one of your top priorities. It's going to save you a considerable amount of time and frustration in the long run, trust me on this one. But what about the wild zones? How do they factor into all of this? Well, in Pokémon Legends Z-A, the wild zones are essentially open areas where Pokémon freely roam and spawn. These zones are perfect for shiny hunting because they allow for quick and efficient resets, which we'll delve into in much greater detail later. The way Pokémon spawn in these wild zones is crucial to understand. Unlike some other Pokémon games, Legends Z-A doesn't feature traditional chaining mechanics or the ability to breed for shinies. That means every single encounter is an independent roll of the dice, governed by that base shiny rate, modified by the shiny charm if you have it. Think of it like this. Every time a Pokémon spawns in the wild zone, the game performs a secret calculation. It essentially rolls a number between 1 and 4, 0.96, or 1 and 1, 0.24 if you have the shiny charm. If that number matches the special shiny number, then congratulations, you've got a shiny Pokémon. If not, well, better luck next time. The good news is that Pokémon spawn relatively frequently in the wild zones, and with the reset methods we'll be discussing, you can quickly refresh those spawns, giving you plenty of opportunities to roll those dice. Now, it's also important to understand what's in the game. As I mentioned before, there's no chaining. In some Pokémon games, chaining involves repeatedly encountering the same species of Pokémon in a row, which gradually increases your shiny odds. That's not a factor in Legends Z-A. Each encounter is independent. Similarly, there's no breeding. In other games, you can breed Pokémon to increase your chances of hatching a shiny. Again, that's not an option here. So, we're solely focused on wild encounters and manipulating those spawns to maximize our shiny hunting potential. It's also crucial to be aware of shiny locked Pokémon. What does that mean? Well, some Pokémon in the game, typically those involved in the main story or special events, are programmed to never appear as shiny. No matter how many times you encounter them, they will always be their regular colour. It's a built-in mechanic to prevent players from accidentally obtaining a shiny version of a Pokémon that's integral to the game's narrative. So, before you dedicate hours to hunting a specific Pokémon, it's always a good idea to double-check whether it's shiny locked. There are plenty of online resources and communities that can provide this information. You don't want to waste your time on something that's simply impossible. And finally, keep in mind that some shiny Pokémon might be event exclusive. This means that they are only available during specific time periods or through special promotions. These events often feature boosted shiny rates or unique encounter methods, making them a great opportunity to add some rare shinies to your collection. So stay tuned to official Pokémon announcements and community news to stay informed about these events. So, to recap, the base shiny rate is 1 in 4, 0.96. The shiny charm improves that to 1 in 1, 0.24, and we're focusing on wild encounters in the wild zones. There's no chaining or breeding, and we need to be mindful of shiny locked Pokémon and event exclusive opportunities. That's the foundation of our shiny hunting knowledge, but knowing the odds is only half the battle. The real magic happens when we start manipulating those spawns and maximizing our encounters, and that's exactly what we'll be diving into next, because we're going to look at the art of the reset. We're going to explore the fast travel technique, a method that allows you to quickly refresh Pokémon spawns by teleporting within a small radius. I'll show you how to execute this technique efficiently, minimize loading times, and maximize your encounters. It's a game changer, and it's going to significantly improve your shiny hunting success. But first, let's really lock down these shiny rates. I know it's a lot of numbers, but understanding the underlying mechanics is truly going to help you succeed. Imagine you're standing in the middle of Wild Zone 1, ready to begin your hunt for a shiny Bidoof. It's a noble goal, I assure you. You see a Bidoof happily munching on some grass, you approach it, and the battle begins. The moment that Bidoof appears on your screen, the game has already determined whether or not it's shiny. It's already rolled those dice, and if it's not shiny, well, that's it. You either defeat it, catch it, or run away, and the next Bidoof that spawns is a completely independent event. Each new Bidoof has the same 1 in 4, 0.96, or 1 in 1, 24 chance of being shiny. There's no memory of the previous encounter. The game doesn't care that you've already seen 500 non-shiny Bidoof. Every single encounter is a fresh start. This is why the reset methods are so important. They allow us to rapidly generate new encounters, new opportunities for those dice to roll in our favour. The faster we can refresh the spawns, the more chances we have to find that elusive shiny. Now some of you might be thinking, okay, I get the shiny rates, I get the shiny charm, I get the wild zones, but why is shiny hunting considered relaxing? And that's a fair question. On the surface, it might seem like a tedious and repetitive grind, and in some ways it is. But it's also a process that can be incredibly meditative and calming, especially when you approach it with the right mindset. Think of it like this. You're essentially performing a simple, repetitive task. You're entering a zone, observing the Pokémon that have spawned, and then resetting the spawns. Over and over again, it's a predictable loop that requires minimal mental effort. And that's where the relaxation comes in. Your mind can wander, you can listen to music, podcasts or audiobooks, you can chat with friends online, you can even watch a movie or TV show while you're shiny hunting. The repetitive nature of the task allows you to disengage your conscious mind and simply relax into the process. And then, of course, there's the thrill of the hunt. The anticipation of that moment when you finally see those sparkling stars and that beautiful colour variation. It's a rush of excitement that can be incredibly rewarding, especially after hours of seemingly fruitless effort. The key is to not get too caught up in the numbers. Don't focus solely on the shiny rate and the odds. Instead, focus on the process, focus on enjoying the journey, focus on creating a relaxing and enjoyable environment for yourself. And that brings me to another important point: patience. Shiny hunting requires a lot of patience. You're not guaranteed to find a shiny Pokémon within a certain amount of time. You might get lucky and find one within a few minutes, or you might spend hours, even days, without any success. It's important to accept that possibility and to not get discouraged. Don't let the frustration of not finding a shiny ruin your enjoyment of the game. Remember, the goal is to relax and unwind. If you find yourself getting stressed or anxious, take a break. Step away from the game for a while. Come back to it later with a fresh perspective. And finally, don't compare yourself to others. You'll inevitably see other players online who have found multiple shinies in a short amount of time. Don't let that make you feel bad about your own progress. Everyone's shiny hunting journey is different. Some people get lucky, others don't. Just focus on your own experience and enjoy the ride. So, as we move forward, keep these things in mind. Understand the shiny rates, embrace the reset methods, and cultivate a relaxing and patient mindset. And remember, the ultimate goal is to have fun. Now, before we move on to the next chapter, there's one more crucial detail about shiny rates that I need to share with you. It's a bit more technical, but it's important to understand if you really want to optimize your shiny hunting efforts. And it has to do with something called pseudo-random number generation. In video games, including Pokémon Legends Z-A, the game doesn't actually generate truly random numbers. Instead, it uses algorithms to create sequences of numbers that appear to be random but are actually deterministic. This is important because it means that the game's shiny determination process isn't entirely based on chance. There are underlying patterns and sequences that influence the outcome. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the technical details of pseudo-random number generation, but the key takeaway is that your actions in the game can potentially influence the sequence of numbers that the game generates. This means that things like your movement, your timing, and even the order in which you encounter Pokémon could theoretically have an impact on your shiny odds. Some shiny hunters believe that they can manipulate these pseudo-random number sequences to their advantage. They might try different routes, different timings, or different encounter patterns in an attempt to influence the game's shiny determination process. Whether or not these techniques actually work is a matter of debate. There's no concrete evidence to prove that they do, but some shiny hunters swear by them, and they claim to have had success using these methods. Ultimately, it's up to you whether or not you want to experiment with these techniques. There's no harm in trying them out, and you might even find that they make the shiny hunting process more engaging and interesting. But don't get too caught up in the idea that you can perfectly control the game's shiny determination process. Remember, luck still plays a significant role, so there you have it. A comprehensive overview of shiny rates and mechanics in Pokémon Legends Z-A. You now understand the base shiny rate, the impact of the shiny charm, the importance of the wild zones, and the potential influence of pseudo-random number generation. With this knowledge in hand, you're well equipped to embark on your relaxing shiny hunting journey. But this discovery was only the beginning, because next, we uncover the secrets of the art of the reset. We'll show you exactly how to manipulate the game's spawn mechanics to maximize your shiny encounters, and that's where the real fun begins. Chapter 3. The Art of the Reset Fast Travel Technique. Alright, so we've established that shiny hunting in Pokémon Legends Z-A can be a surprisingly relaxing endeavour. We've talked about the allure of those elusive alternate colour palettes and the odds stacked against us. But now it's time to get practical. Time to learn how to manipulate those odds, to bend the wild zones to our will, and to find those sparkling treasures with a minimum of stress. We're going to start with what I consider to be the bread and butter of relaxing shiny hunting, the fast travel reset. It's a simple technique, elegant in its efficiency, and perfect for those of us who prefer a more sedentary approach. No endless running around required here. Now you might be thinking, fast travel? Isn't that just for getting from point A to point B? And you'd be right normally. But in the wild zones of Pokémon Legends Z-A, fast travel becomes something much more. It becomes a tool for controlling the very fabric of reality. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic, but it let us control Pokémon spawns. The key is understanding how the game loads and unloads Pokémon in the wild zones. Every time you enter an area, the game generates a set of Pokémon based on the zone's parameters. But what happens when you stay in that zone? Well, those Pokémon just kind of hang out. They don't magically disappear and reappear with different colours. That's where the fast travel reset comes in. The basic principle is this: by fast travelling a short distance within a zone, you can force the game to refresh the Pokémon spawns in your immediate vicinity. Think of it like hitting a refresh button on the Pokémon world. Each time you teleport, you get a brand new set of potential shinies. So, how do we actually it? Let's walk through a step-by-step guide. First, you'll need to identify a good shiny hunting spot. We'll talk more about optimal locations in later chapters, but for now, just find an area with a decent number of Pokémon spawns and a clear line of sight. Somewhere you can easily see the Pokémon that appear. Next, find a fast travel point within that zone. This could be a landmark, a Pokémon Center, or even just a designated spot that you've discovered. The important thing is that it's close enough to your hunting area to be convenient, but far enough away to trigger a spawn refresh. I've found that a radius of less than 50 meters is ideal. Now, the fun begins. Stand in your chosen hunting spot and observe the Pokémon that spawn around you. Are there any potential shinies? If not, that's perfectly fine. This is where the magic happens. Open your map and select your chosen fast travel point. Teleport to that location. As the game loads the new area, pay close attention. When the screen fades back in, you should see a completely new set of Pokémon in your hunting area. It's like pressing a button and getting a whole new lottery ticket. Scan the area again. Any luck this time? If not, simply repeat the process. Fast travel back to your original hunting spot, observe the new spawns, and repeat. It's a simple loop, but it can be incredibly effective. To make this process even more efficient, try to minimize loading times. A faster console or a game installed on an SSD can make a big difference. Also try to choose fast travel points that are close to each other. The less time you spend traveling, the more time you spend shiny hunting. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds too good to be true. There must be a catch. And you're right, there are a few potential limitations to this method. One thing to keep in mind is that the fast travel reset doesn't guarantee a shiny. It simply refreshes the spawns. You're still subject to the base shiny rates, so you might have to do this hundreds or even thousands of times before you find your target. Patience is key. Another potential drawback is that the loading times can be a bit tedious, especially if you're playing on older hardware. This is why it's so important to optimize your setup and find fast travel points that are close together. Finally, it's worth noting that some areas might not be ideal for the fast travel reset. If the spawns are too spread out or if there aren't any convenient fast travel points, you might be better off using a different method. But overall, the fast travel reset is a fantastic technique for relaxing shiny hunting. It's simple, efficient, and allows you to hunt for shinies without having to constantly run around. It's perfect for those of us who like to kick back, relax, and let the shinies come to us. Think of it like this. You're setting up a little Pokémon slot machine. Each fast travel is a pull of the lever, and each new set of spawns is a chance to win big. And unlike real slot machines, this one doesn't cost you any money, just a little bit of time and patience. The key to mastering this technique is consistency. Find a good hunting spot, choose your fast travel points, and get into a rhythm. After a while, you'll be able to do it without even thinking. You can listen to music, watch a movie, or even just zone out while you're shiny hunting. It's a great way to relax and unwind. And remember, the goal here is to have fun. Don't get too stressed out if you don't find a shiny right away. Just keep resetting, keep observing, and eventually that sparkling Pokémon will appear. So, to recap, the fast travel reset is a simple but powerful technique that allows you to refresh Pokémon spawns in the wild zones by teleporting a short distance. It's a great way to hunt for shinies without having to constantly run around, and it's perfect for those of us who prefer a more relaxed approach. Just find a good hunting spot, choose your fast travel points, and get into a rhythm. And most importantly, have fun. But what if fast travel isn't your cup of tea? What if you prefer a more hands-on approach? Well, fear not, because there are other reset methods available. And in the next chapter, we're going to explore two of the most popular, the door method and the bench technique. These methods offer a different kind of control over Pokémon spawns, and they might be just what you're looking for. So stick around, because we're just getting started. We'll delve into the nuances of each, discuss their pros and cons, and help you determine which reset method is best suited for your shiny hunting style. The world of shiny hunting is about to get a whole lot more interesting. Chapter 4. The Art of the Reset, Door and Bench Techniques. Alright, so we've covered the fast travel reset, a technique that's quick and convenient for refreshing Pokémon spawns. But what if fast travel isn't your style, or maybe you're looking for some alternative methods? Well, that's where the door method and bench techniques come into play. These are your secondary options for manipulating the wild zone spawns, and each has its own unique advantages and drawbacks. Let's start with the door method. It's exactly what it sounds like. You enter and exit a building or a clearly defined zone transition to force a respawn of the Pokémon in the surrounding area. Think of it like this. The game essentially reloads the immediate environment each time you pass through that doorway, creating a fresh set of Pokémon. Now, why would you use this over fast travel? Well, one reason might be location. Some prime shiny hunting spots aren't located right next to a fast travel point. Perhaps your target Pokémon hangs out near a building entrance or a zone border. In these cases, the door method becomes incredibly efficient. The key here is identifying a suitable door. It needs to be a transition that triggers a noticeable reload of the surrounding area. A small cave entrance, the doorway to a research lab, or even the border between two distinct areas within a wild zone can all work. The process is simple. Find your target area, check for a shiny, and if it's not there, simply step through the door, wait a brief moment for the game to reload the area on the other side, and then step back through. Rinse and repeat. You'll quickly get into a rhythm, and the spawns will refresh with each pass. But there's a bit more nuance to it than just mindlessly walking back and forth. Pay attention to how quickly the environment reloads. Some transitions are faster than others. The quicker the reload, the more efficient your shiny hunting will be. Also, be aware of your character's position when you re-enter the zone. Sometimes the game might place you in a slightly different spot, which could affect which Pokémon are immediately visible. Experiment with your positioning to maximize your viewing range upon re-entry. Now let's talk about the bench technique. This method revolves around resting at a bench to advance time, specifically to change between day and night. This might seem like a simple mechanic, but it can have a profound impact on Pokémon spawns. Certain Pokémon are only available during specific times of day. Some only come out at night, while others prefer the daylight hours. By using a bench to cycle through these time periods, you can effectively control which Pokémon are spawning in your area. The bench technique is particularly useful if you're targeting a Pokémon that's time sensitive. Let's say you're after a shiny Murkrow, which only appears at night. Instead of waiting around for the in-game clock to tick over, you can simply rest at a bench until night falls, and then start your hunt. But the bench technique goes beyond just time-specific spawns. Even for Pokémon that appear at all times of day, changing the time can still refresh the spawns in the area. It's a different kind of reset than fast travel or the door method, but it can still be effective. The key here is understanding the day-night cycle in the game and how it affects the Pokémon you're targeting. Experiment with resting at different times of day to see how it impacts the spawns in your area. You might be surprised at what you discover. Now, let's compare these methods. Fast travel is generally the fastest and most convenient, especially if you're hunting in an area with multiple fast travel points. The door method is great for specific locations near zone transitions, and the bench technique is ideal for time-sensitive Pokémon or when you want a different kind of spawn refresh. Each method has its pros and cons. Fast travel can be a bit jarring with the loading screens, while the door method can be repetitive. The bench technique can be slower, as you have to wait for the time to advance. So which method should you use? Well, it really depends on your personal preference, your target Pokémon, and the specific location you're hunting in. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. The best approach is to experiment with all three methods and see which one works best for you in each situation. Think of it like this. Fast travel is your go-to option, the door method is your situational tool, and the bench technique is your specialized technique. By mastering all three, you'll be well equipped to tackle any shiny hunting challenge that comes your way. And remember, the goal here is to relax and enjoy the process. Don't get too caught up in optimizing every single second. Shiny hunting is a marathon, not a sprint. Find a method that you find enjoyable and stick with it. Now let's consider some specific scenarios where each method might be most effective. Imagine you're hunting for a shiny Gible in a cave. The cave entrance is a perfect door, allowing you to quickly reset the spawns inside. Or perhaps you're after a shiny Misdreavus, which only appears at night. Resting at a bench until nightfall is the most efficient way to get started. And what if you're hunting for a common Pokémon like a Bidoof? In that case, fast travel is probably your best bet, as you can quickly hop between different locations and refresh the spawns. The key is to adapt your strategy to the specific situation, but there's one crucial element that ties all these methods together: understanding how the game handles despawning. What happens to those Pokémon that you don't interact with? Do they simply disappear? Or is there something more going on? That's what we'll be exploring in the next chapter, and trust me, understanding despawn mechanics is essential for maximizing your shiny hunting efficiency. It might just save you from missing out on that elusive shiny you've been searching for. Chapter 5. Prime, Shiny Hunting Locations, Wild Zone. 8. The Ground-Type Paradise. Alright, buckle up, because we're about to reveal the first of our prime shiny hunting locations, a place so packed with potential, it practically screams shiny. We've talked about the methods, the mechanics, the mindset. Now, let's talk about to put all that knowledge to the test. You could wander aimlessly hoping for a stroke of luck, or you could head straight to a location designed to maximize your odds. And that location, my friends, is Wild Zone 8. Now I know what you might be thinking. Wild Zone 8? Why that one? Well, prepare to have your mind blown. This isn't just Wild Zone, it's a carefully crafted ecosystem practically overflowing with ground-type Pokémon. We're talking a veritable for anyone seeking those earthy, powerful shinies. Think of it. Dense populations, a limited number of Pokémon species to choose from, and an easily navigable landscape. It's like the game developers us to shiny hunt here. The pieces all fit together perfectly, like a puzzle designed for shiny hunters. Why ground type specifically? Well, for some of you, it might be a personal preference. Maybe you've always loved the power and reliability of ground type Pokémon. Maybe you're building a competitive team and need that perfect shiny. Or maybe you just appreciate their earthy tones and sturdy designs. But even if ground types aren't your favourite, the sheer density of spawns in Wild Zone 8 makes it an incredibly efficient location, regardless of your preferred type. The more Pokémon you see, the more chances you have for a shiny. Simple as that. We're not just talking about a few stray Pokémon here and there, we're talking about a flow of encounters. You'll barely have time to blink before another potential shiny appears. So, what kind of Pokémon can you expect to find in this ground-type haven? Think. Diglett and Dugtrio, those classic burrowing favourites. Imagine a golden Diglett shimmering in the sunlight. The possibilities are genuinely exciting. Then there's Geodude and Graveler, those rocky powerhouses. This shiny graveler with its unique coloration is a prize worth hunting for. And let's not forget the ever-popular Sandshrew and Sandslash. These armoured cuties are always a welcome sight, and their shiny forms are simply stunning. But it's not just about the specific Pokémon, it's about the of them. In other wild zones, you might spend more time travelling than actually encountering Pokémon. Here, the opposite is true. You'll be practically tripping over them. Okay, I can practically hear the excitement building, but how do you actually effectively in Wild Zone 8? Where do you go? What's the optimal route? Don't worry, I've got you covered. I've spent countless hours exploring every nook and cranny of this zone, charting the most efficient path to shiny success. And I'm about to share it all with you. Imagine a route so perfectly designed, it minimizes travel time and maximizes encounters. A route so intuitive, you could practically do it in your sleep. That's what we're talking about. First, you'll want to head straight for the Central Plateau. This elevated area is a hotbed of ground-type activity. The higher elevation gives you a good vantage point, allowing you to scan the area for potential shinies from a distance. From there, we'll move down into the winding canyons. These narrow passages are teeming with Pokémon lurking around every corner. It's like a Pokémon shooting gallery. Next, we'll explore the open plains, where you'll find larger groups of Pokémon grazing and socializing. Keep your eyes peeled for those elusive shiny variants. And finally, we'll circle back to the starting point, ready to repeat the loop and continue the hunt. But it's not just about you go, it's about you go. We'll be using a combination of strategic fast travelling and careful observation to maximise our efficiency. Remember that fast travel reset method we talked about? It's going to be your best friend in Wild Zone 8. Use it strategically to refresh spawns in key areas and keep the encounters flowing. And don't forget to keep your eyes and ears open. That telltale sparkle and chime are your signals that a shiny has appeared. Be ready to react quickly and engage in battle. Speaking of battle, remember to save you initiate the encounter. You don't want to accidentally knock out a shiny and lose it forever. Okay, let's get down to the specifics. Starting at the Central Plateau, move in a clockwise direction, keeping a close watch on the surrounding area. Use your camera to pan around and scan for any unusual colours. As you move into the canyons, take your time and check every nook and cranny. Shinies can often be hidden in unexpected places. When you reach the open plains, spread out and cover as much ground as possible. Look for groups of Pokémon and approach them carefully. And remember, patience is key. Shiny hunting can be a long and arduous process. Don't get discouraged if you don't find a shiny right away. Just keep at it, and eventually your persistence will pay off. Now, some of you might be wondering about the best time of day to hunt in Wild Zone 8. Does it matter? The answer is, it depends. Some Pokémon are more common during the day, while others are more active at night. Experiment with different times of day to see what works best for you. Personally, I find that hunting during the early morning or late evening can be particularly productive. The lighting is softer, making it easier to spot those subtle colour variations. But ultimately, the best time to hunt is whenever you're feeling relaxed and focused. Shiny hunting should be an enjoyable experience, not a chore. So, there you have it. Wild Zone 8, the ground-type paradise, and your new go-to destination for stress-free shiny hunting. With its dense spawn rates, varied Pokémon selection, and easily navigable landscape, it's the perfect place to unwind and pursue your shiny dreams. But Wild Zone 8 isn't the location worth exploring. In fact, there are several other zones that offer unique opportunities for shiny hunters. What if you're not interested in ground-type Pokémon? What if you're looking for something a little more aquatic? Or perhaps something a bit more fiery? Well, that's exactly what we'll be covering in the next chapter. We'll be expanding our search and exploring other notable shiny hunting zones. We'll be diving deep into the specifics of each zone, highlighting their unique features and challenges, and we'll be providing you with visual maps and routes to help you navigate them efficiently. So, what other hidden gems are waiting to be discovered? What secrets do these other zones hold? Find out next time as we expand the search to find the best shiny hunting zones in the game. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, I'm curious, where in the world are you watching this from? Drop a comment below and let our global community know, and if you're finding this as mind-blowing as I am, hit that like button to help more people discover this story. Chapter 6, Expanding the Search, Other Notable Shiny Hunting Zones. Okay, so Wild Zone 8 is your ground-type paradise, no question. But what if you're not craving a shiny Sandshrew? Or maybe you've already got your fill of Paldean Wooper? The beauty of this game is that the Wild Zones offer a diverse range of Pokémon, and therefore diverse shiny hunting opportunities. Let's broaden our horizons, shall we? We're going to some other zones that are absolutely ripe for shiny hunting. Zones that might just surprise you with their potential. Think of this as your expanded shiny hunting itinerary. Now, before we dive in, a quick word of caution. Just like any good vacation, a little planning goes a long way. Knowing what Pokémon spawn in each zone is crucial, and I highly recommend consulting a reliable online resource like Cerebi or Bulbapedia to get the lay of the land. You don't want to spend hours in a zone only to realise your target Pokémon has an incredibly low spawn rate there. Trust me, I've been there. So, with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's get started. First up, we have Wild Zone 4. This zone is a bit of a mixed bag, but that's precisely what makes it so appealing. You'll find a variety of Pokémon types here, including electric, flying, and even some water types. The star of the show, in my opinion, is the potential for Mareep. Yes, that fluffy, adorable sheep Pokémon. Its shiny form is a vibrant pink, and who wouldn't want a pink Mareep following them around? The spawn rate for Mareep in Zone 4 is pretty decent, and you can use the fast travel reset method quite effectively in the central area of the zone, near the windmills. Just teleport back and forth between the windmills, keeping an eye out for that telltale sparkle. But Mareep isn't the only reason to visit Zone 4. You can also find Pokémon like Electrike, which has a striking yellow shiny form, and Wingull, which can evolve into the powerful Pelipper. The variety here keeps things interesting, and prevents you from getting too burnt out on seeing the same Pokémon over and over again. Next on our list is Wild Zone 6. Now, this zone is a bit more challenging to navigate, with its rocky terrain and winding paths. However, the rewards are well worth the effort, especially if you're a fan of rock and steel type Pokémon. Aron is a particularly good choice for shiny hunting here. Its shiny form is a fantastic black and red combination that just screams power. The spawn rate for Aron is reasonably high, especially around the rocky outcroppings and near the waterfall. Use the door method here, entering and exiting the zone to refresh the spawns. It might take a little longer than fast travelling, but it's a reliable way to generate new encounters. Besides Aron, Zone 6 also boasts Pokémon like Riolu, which, while rare, is an incredibly sought-after shiny, and Geodude, which is always a solid option for a quick and easy shiny hunt. Just be mindful of the terrain and try to stick to a consistent route to maximise your efficiency. Alright, let's move on to something a little different. How about Wild Zone 11? This zone is all about water-type Pokémon, as you might have guessed. If you're looking for a shiny Magikarp to evolve into a glorious red Gyarados, this is the place to be. The spawn rate for Magikarp is incredibly high, practically guaranteeing you'll encounter dozens of them in a short amount of time. The best strategy here is to simply run laps around the central lake, keeping an eye out for that golden fish. You can also use the bench rest method to change the time of day, which can sometimes affect the spawn rates of certain Pokémon. But Magikarp isn't the only aquatic attraction in Zone 11. You'll also find Pokémon like Buizel, which has a charming pink shiny form, and Staryu, which can evolve into the elegant Starmie. It's worth noting that Staryu can be a bit trickier to spot due to its small size, so keep your eyes peeled. Okay, let's venture into a slightly more obscure location, Wild Zone 14. This zone is a bit of a hidden gem, tucked away in a corner of the map. It's a bit smaller than the other zones we've discussed, but it makes up for its size with a surprisingly diverse range of Pokémon. The real draw here is the chance to snag a shiny Drifloon. Its shiny form is a vibrant yellow, and it stands out beautifully against the somewhat drab background of this zone. The spawn rate for Drifloon is fairly consistent, and you can use a combination of fast travelling and the door method to refresh the spawns. But that's not all. You can also find Pokémon like Murkrow in this zone, which has a cool blue shiny form. The small size of the zone actually works to your advantage here, as it allows you to quickly check all the spawn points without wasting too much time. Now let's talk about Wild Zone 17. This zone is a bit of a trek to get to, but it's worth the journey if you're looking for a specific type of Pokémon, grass. The star of the show here is Budew. Its shiny form is a beautiful shade of purple, and it's relatively easy to find in this zone. The spawn rate for Budew is pretty good, especially in the grassy areas near the centre of the zone. Use the fast travel method, teleporting back and forth between different patches of grass to maximize your encounters. Besides Budew, you can also find Pokémon like Roselia, which evolves from Budew, and Hoppip, which has a charming pink shiny form. The abundance of grass makes this zone a perfect place to relax and enjoy the repetitive, almost meditative process of shiny hunting. Alright, let's head to Wild Zone 20. This zone is another somewhat hidden gem, and it's particularly good for hunting electric-type Pokémon. Pikachu is the obvious choice here, and while its shiny form is subtle, it's still a highly sought-after Pokémon. The spawn rate for Pikachu is decent, and you can find it in the grassy areas and near the power lines. Use the fast travel method, teleporting between different spawn points to increase your chances of finding a shiny. But Pikachu isn't the only electric type in Zone 20. You can also find Pokémon like Shinx, which has a stunning gold shiny form, and Pachirisu, which is always a fun Pokémon to hunt. The combination of electric types and the relatively small size of the zone makes it a great place to spend a few hours shiny hunting. Let's move on to Wild Zone 23. This zone is characterized by its mountainous terrain and is a great spot for finding rock and flying type Pokémon. Aerodactyl is a particularly desirable shiny here, sporting a striking purple hue. While Aerodactyl spawns can be somewhat infrequent, the thrill of finally encountering one in its shiny form makes the hunt all the more rewarding. Employ the door method here, as the zone's layout can make fast travelling a bit cumbersome. Aside from Aerodactyl, keep an eye out for Pokémon like Zubat, which has a vibrant green shiny, and the ever-reliable Geodude. The key here is patience and persistence, as the mountainous terrain can sometimes make it difficult to spot Pokémon from a distance. Okay, let's explore Wild Zone 26. This zone is a bit of an anomaly, featuring a mix of different environments, from forests to beaches. This variety is reflected in the diverse range of Pokémon you can find here. Eevee is a popular target in this zone, given its potential to evolve into so many different forms. While Eevee's shiny form is subtle, its evolutions offer a wide array of vibrant and unique shiny colours. The spawn rate for Eevee is decent, and you can find it in the grassy areas and near the beaches. Besides Eevee, you can also find Pokémon like Surskit, which has a lovely blue shiny form, and Scyther, which can evolve into the powerful Scizor. The varied environment of Zone 26 keeps things interesting and prevents the hunt from becoming too monotonous. Now, let's venture into Wild Zone 29. This zone is dominated by a large open field, making it ideal for spotting Pokémon from a distance. It's a great place to hunt for normal type Pokémon. The star of the show here is likely going to be Stantler. Its shiny form is a lovely shade of blue, and it's relatively easy to spot in the open field. The spawn rate for Stantler is fairly consistent, and you can use the fast travel method to quickly check different areas of the zone. In addition to Stantler, you'll also find Pokémon like Lillipup, which has a charming golden shiny form, and Bidoof, which, well, is Bidoof. But hey, even Bidoof deserves a shiny, right? Alright, let's Wild Zone 32. This zone is characterized by its dense forest, making it a good place to hunt for bug and grass type Pokémon. The elusive Heracross is a prime target here, boasting a striking pink shiny. Its relatively low spawn rate makes it a challenging hunt, but the reward is well worth the effort. The door method is your best bet in this zone, as the dense forest can make fast travelling a bit difficult. Alongside Heracross, keep an eye out for Pokémon like Wurmple, which can evolve into either Beautifly or Dustox, and Pinnaco, which has a cool green shiny form. The dense forest environment adds a layer of challenge to the hunt, but it also makes it all the more rewarding when you finally find that shiny. Let's move on to Wild Zone 35. This zone is another water-heavy area, so if you're still trying to get that shiny Magikarp, or are just a fan of aquatic Pokémon, this is a solid choice. Carvanha is a more unique option here. Its shiny form is a deep green, which is really striking. Use the same strategy as Zone 11, lap the central body of water, and keep your eyes peeled. Other options here include the always popular Tentacool and the more elusive Frillish. Remember to switch up the time of day using the bench rest method to potentially influence spawns. Okay, let's talk about Wild Zone 38. This zone is a desolate rocky area, perfect for rock and ground type Pokémon. Rhyhorn is a great choice for shiny hunting here. Its shiny form is a dark grey, almost black, which looks really cool. The spawn rate for Rhyhorn is pretty good, and you can find it wandering around the rocky areas. Besides Rhyhorn, you can also find Pokémon like Larvitar, which is another very sought after shiny, and Onix, which has a nice green shiny form. This zone is fairly straightforward to navigate, making it a good option for a relaxing shiny hunting session. Let's explore Wild Zone 41. This zone is a snowy mountain area, so you're looking at ice and rock type Pokémon for the most part. Snorunt is a good choice here. Its shiny form is a pale purple, and it blends in with the snow a little bit, so keep your eyes peeled. The spawn rate for Snorunt is decent, and you can find it near the base of the mountain. You can also find Pokémon like Bergmite, which has a cool blue shiny form, and the occasional Rockruff. The snowy environment can be a bit harsh on the eyes after a while, so remember to take breaks. Now, let's Wild Zone 44. This zone is a desert area, so ground and rock types are common. Sandile is a good shiny hunting target here. Its shiny form is a pale green, which is a nice contrast to the desert environment. The spawn rate for Sandile is pretty good, and you can find it near the sand dunes. Besides Sandile, you can also find Pokémon like Trapinch, which has a cool blue, shiny form, and the occasional Hippopotas. The desert environment can be quite monotonous, so be sure to have some good music or a podcast to listen to. Let's move on to Wild Zone 47. This zone is a volcanic area, so fire and rock types are the main attraction. Slugma is a great choice for shiny hunting here. Its shiny form is a vibrant purple, and it stands out really well against the fiery background. The spawn rate for Slugma is pretty good, and you can find it near the lava flows. You can also find Pokémon like Numel, which has a cool yellow shiny form, and the occasional Houndour. The volcanic environment can be a bit intense, so remember to stay hydrated. And finally, let's talk about Wild Zone 50. This zone is a mysterious forested area, perfect for finding ghost and dark type Pokémon. Misdreavus is a good shiny hunting target here. Its shiny form is a pale green, and it blends in with the forest a little bit, so keep your eyes peeled. The spawn rate for Misdreavus is decent, and you can find it floating around the trees. Besides Misdreavus, you can also find Pokémon like Murkrow, which has a cool blue shiny form, and the occasional Sneasel. The mysterious atmosphere of this zone makes it a fun place to explore and shiny hunt. So, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of some of the other fantastic wild zones that Legends Z-A has to offer. Remember, each zone has its own unique charm and its own set of Pokémon, so don't be afraid to experiment and find the zones that you enjoy the most. And always remember to check online resources for spawn rates and potential shiny locks before you commit to a long hunting session. A little preparation can save you a lot of frustration. Now, you might be wondering, with all these different zones and Pokémon to choose from, how do I make sure I don't accidentally lose a shiny I've already found? That's a great question, and it leads us to our next topic, the spawn safety net. We're going to delve into the mechanics that prevent despawns, and how you can use this to your advantage. Chapter 7. The Spawn Safety Net. Understanding Despawn Mechanics. Okay, so you've found your shiny, the sparkles are blinding, the music's changed, and your heart is pounding. You're probably thinking, I have to catch this. But what happens if in that moment of excitement your game crashes? Or worse, what if you accidentally run from the battle? That's where the spawn safety net comes in. It's a mechanic, undocumented by the game itself, that can save you from heartbreak. Think of it as a second chance, a hidden feature working behind the scenes to protect your precious shiny. The game, believe it or not, remembers recent Pokémon spawns, specifically the last 10 or so. This means that even if you trigger a despawn, that shiny Pokémon might still be lurking in the background, waiting for you. But how can this be possible? Well, the game isn't constantly rendering every single Pokémon in the wild zone. That would be a massive strain on the system. Instead, it uses a system of prioritized rendering, focusing on Pokémon that are closest to you or that you've recently interacted with. The spawn safety mechanic leverages this system. When a Pokémon despawns, its data isn't immediately purged from memory. Instead, it's held in reserve for a short period, along with the data of other recent spawns. This allows the game to quickly re-render those Pokémon if you re-enter the area, or if they're still within a certain proximity. Imagine it like this. You're walking through a forest, and you see 10 squirrels. You glance away for a moment and one of them disappears behind a tree. Did it vanish from existence? No, it's still there, just out of sight. The game treats recent Pokémon spawns in a similar way. So how does this translate into practical shiny hunting? Let's say you're hunting for a shiny Shinx in Wild Zone 3. You've been using the fast travel reset method, teleporting back and forth, and finally a sparkling Shinx appears. But in your haste, you accidentally press the wrong button and flee the battle. Panic sets in. You think you've lost it forever. Don't give up hope just yet. Because of the spawn safety net, there's a good chance that Shinx is still around. What you need to do is avoid moving too far away from the area where you encountered it. The further you move, the more likely the game is to fully despawn that Pokémon. Instead, try using the fast travel reset method again, teleporting within a small radius of your original encounter. There's a good chance that the shiny Shinx will reappear. Of course, this isn't a guaranteed rescue. The spawn safety net has its limitations. If you travel too far away, or if too many new Pokémon spawn in the area, the game will eventually overwrite the data of the shiny Pokémon, and it will be gone for good. That's why it's crucial to understand the limitations of this mechanic and to take precautions to avoid losing your shiny in the first place. The most important thing you can do is save your game regularly. Before you engage in any shiny battle, always save. This way, if anything goes wrong, you can simply reload your game and try again. Think of it as your personal safety net, a guarantee that you won't lose your hard-earned shiny due to a glitch, a mistake, or a sudden power outage. Saving might seem tedious, but it's a small price to pay for the peace of mind it provides. It's the ultimate insurance policy against shiny hunting disaster. Beyond saving, there are other strategies you can use to minimize the risk of losing a shiny. One is to be mindful of your surroundings. Pay attention to the spawn patterns in the area and try to avoid actions that might trigger a mass despawn. For example, if you're hunting in an area with a lot of moving NPCs, be careful not to get too close to them. Their movement can sometimes trigger a respawn of nearby Pokémon, potentially overwriting your shiny. Another strategy is to be deliberate in your movements. Avoid running around aimlessly or teleporting to random locations. Stick to a specific hunting route and try to minimize the distance you travel between encounters. The more controlled your movements, the less likely you are to accidentally trigger a despawn. Think of it as a careful dance, a delicate balance between maximizing encounters and minimizing risk. Now let's talk about a specific scenario. Imagine you found a shiny, but it's surrounded by aggressive Pokémon. You're worried that you'll accidentally trigger a battle with one of them and lose your chance to catch the shiny. In this situation, the spawn safety net can be your friend. You can intentionally trigger a battle with one of the aggressive Pokémon, defeat it, and then quickly re-engage the shiny. The reason this works is that the game will prioritize rendering the Pokémon that you were most recently engaged with, including the shiny. This gives you a brief window of opportunity to catch the shiny without having to worry about the other Pokémon in the area. However, be careful with this strategy. It's not foolproof, and there's always a risk that something could go wrong. Make sure you're confident in your ability to defeat the aggressive Pokémon quickly and efficiently before attempting this maneuver. Ultimately, the spawn safety net is a valuable tool for shiny hunters, but it's not a substitute for careful planning and execution. It's a safety net, not a magic bullet. Remember to save regularly, be mindful of your surroundings, and move deliberately. By following these tips, you can minimize the risk of losing your shiny and maximize your chances of a successful hunt. And now, let's talk about auditory cues. We touched on them briefly before, but they deserve a deeper dive. You're likely playing with the sound on, right? Because listening for that distinct sound can be a game changer, especially when you're passively hunting while doing other things. Many shiny hunters rely heavily on auditory cues, especially when using the fast travel reset method. They'll teleport back and forth, listening intently for the telltale sparkle sound that indicates a shiny has spawned. This method allows you to hunt for shinies without having to constantly stare at the screen. You can listen to a podcast, watch a movie, or even do chores around the house, while still keeping an ear out for that magical sound. The key is to familiarize yourself with the sound of a shiny. It's a distinct sparkling noise that's different from the ambient sounds of the wild zone. Once you've heard it a few times, you'll be able to recognize it instantly. Some players even use headphones to enhance their ability to hear the shiny sound. This can be especially helpful in noisy environments, or if you have difficulty distinguishing between different sounds. But what happens if you're hearing the sparkle sound but you can't see the shiny Pokémon? This can happen if the shiny is hidden behind an object, or if it's spawned in an area that's difficult to see. In this situation, the best thing to do is to carefully search the area. Look behind trees, rocks, and other objects. Try changing your camera angle to get a better view. If you still can't find the shiny, try moving around slightly. Sometimes just a small change in your position can reveal a hidden Pokémon. And if all else fails, you can always try using the fast travel reset method again. There's a chance that the shiny will reappear in a more visible location. The combination of auditory cues and the spawn safety net can be incredibly powerful. They allow you to hunt for shinies more efficiently and with less stress. You can relax, enjoy the process, and trust that the game is working to protect your precious shiny. Now, before we move on, let's address a common question. Does the time of day affect the spawn safety net? The answer is no, the time of day doesn't directly affect the mechanic itself. However, it can indirectly impact your shiny hunting experience. Some Pokémon are more likely to spawn at certain times of day. For example, nocturnal Pokémon are more common at night, while diurnal Pokémon are more common during the day. If you're hunting for a specific shiny, it's important to hunt at the time of day when that Pokémon is most likely to spawn. This will increase your chances of finding a shiny and make your hunting more efficient. You can use the bench rest method to change the time of day. Simply interact with a bench and choose to rest until morning, afternoon, or night. This will allow you to quickly switch between different times of day and optimize your hunting for specific Pokémon. So, while the time of day doesn't directly affect the spawn safety net, it's still an important factor to consider when shiny hunting. By understanding the spawn patterns of different Pokémon, you can increase your chances of finding a shiny and make your hunting more enjoyable. And finally, let's talk about what to do if you accidentally knock out a shiny Pokémon. This is a heartbreaking experience, but it's important to remember that it's not the end of the world. If you accidentally knock out a shiny, don't panic. Simply turn off your game without saving. This will revert your game to the last save point, which should be before you encountered the shiny. Then, reload your game and try again. This time, be more careful and make sure you have a strategy for catching the shiny without knocking it out. It's always a good idea to bring a Pokémon with a status move like paralysis or sleep. These moves can make it much easier to catch a shiny without having to worry about knocking it out. You can also use items like Ultra Balls or Timer Balls to increase your chances of catching a shiny. Experiment with different strategies and find what works best for you. Losing a shiny is never fun, but it's important to learn from your mistakes and keep trying. With perseverance and a little bit of luck, you'll eventually find the shiny you're looking for. So to recap, the spawn safety net is a hidden mechanic that protects recent shiny spawns, giving you a second chance if something goes wrong. Remember to save regularly, be mindful of your surroundings, and listen for auditory cues. And if you accidentally knock out a shiny, don't give up hope. But this discovery was only the beginning. Now that we've mastered the art of preserving our shiny encounters, what about making the whole process even streamlined? Next, we uncover how to optimize your in-game settings, control schemes, and even your personal environment to become the ultimate shiny hunting machine. Chapter 8. The General Shiny Hunting Loop, a step-by-step guide. Alright, so you're ready to embark on your relaxing shiny hunting adventure? Wonderful! But before we unleash you into the wild zones, let's solidify the core process, the rhythm of the hunt if you will. It's a simple loop, easy to memorize and even easier to get lost in. Think of it as a mantra, a calming repetition that leads to that glorious, sparkling reward. First, and perhaps most obviously, you need a target. What Pokémon are you after? Picture it in your mind, that alternate colour palette, the subtle differences that set it apart. Is it a powerful ground type, a mischievous, fairy type, or something else entirely? Knowing your desired shiny is the first step because it dictates where you'll be hunting. Once you have your target in mind, it's time to identify its habitat. Which wild zone does it call home? Remember, each zone boasts a unique ecosystem and different Pokémon spawn at varying rates. Refer back to our earlier recommendations or consult your in-game map. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it's the key to efficient shiny hunting. So, you've picked your Pokémon, located its wild zone, now what? This is where the real fun begins, and where those reset methods come into play. Remember the fast travel technique, the door method, and the bench rest. Choose the one that best suits your playstyle and the specific zone you're in. Each has its own advantages and drawbacks, but they all serve the same purpose: refreshing the Pokémon spawns around you. The fast travel method is excellent for quickly cycling through spawns in a concentrated area. The door method can be useful for larger zones where fast travel points are more spread out. And the bench rest, well, that's your ticket to manipulating day and night cycles, which can influence the appearance of certain Pokémon. But how do you know when a shiny has appeared? This is where your senses come into play, specifically your hearing. While you're running through your chosen reset method, keep your ears peeled. There's a distinct, unmistakable sparkling sound that accompanies a shiny Pokémon's appearance. It's a subtle cue, but once you recognize it, you'll never miss it. It's like hearing the chime of a far-off bell, a gentle signal that your patience has paid off. And this sound, this auditory shimmer, is what separates a relaxing hunt from a frustrating one. You don't need to stare intently at every single Pokémon that spawns, straining your eyes and your focus. Instead, you can let the game come to you. Trusting your ears to alert you to the presence of a shiny is almost meditative, letting your mind wander while your subconscious remains vigilant. Now let's break down the loop step by step to make it crystal clear. Step 1. Choose your target Pokémon, its shiny form. Feel the anticipation. Step 2. Identify its wild zone habitat. Plan your route. Prepare for the hunt. Step 3. Employ your chosen reset method, fast travel, door method, or bench rest. The choice is yours. Step 4. Listen intently for the auditory shiny cue. That sparkling sound is your signal. Repeat steps 3 and 4 until you hear that glorious chime. But the loop doesn't end there. Hearing the sparkle is only half the battle. What comes next is arguably even more crucial. You've heard the sparkle, you've spotted the shiny, adrenaline is pumping. Now, before you do anything else, before you even think about engaging in battle, save your game. This is paramount. Trust me, you do not want to risk losing your shiny due to a random critical hit, a sudden power outage, or any other unforeseen disaster. Save early, save often. Saving before the battle provides a safety net, a way to rewind time if something goes wrong. If you accidentally knock out the shiny, or if it manages to flee, you can simply reload your save and try again. It's a small precaution that can save you hours of heartache. Think of it as insurance, a guarantee that your hard work won't go to waste. It's a simple act, but it's the most important step in the entire shiny hunting loop. Save, save, save. I can't stress that enough. Once you've saved, you can finally engage in battle with confidence. Use your strongest moves, inflict status conditions like paralysis or sleep to increase your chances of capture, and throw those Pokeballs with all your might. And that, my friends, is the general shiny hunting loop. Choose your target, go to its zone, use your reset method, listen for the sparkle, save before battle, and capture your shiny. It's a simple process, but it's incredibly effective. But even the best laid plans can sometimes go awry. What happens if you're not hearing the sparkling sound? What if the Pokémon you're hunting refuses to spawn? What if you accidentally run out of Pokeballs? Let's address some potential pitfalls and troubleshoot some common issues. First, if you're not hearing the sparkling sound, make sure your volume is turned up and that the game's sound effects are enabled. It might sound obvious, but it's an easy thing to overlook. Also, try adjusting your headphones or speakers to ensure that you're getting the best possible audio quality. Sometimes, a subtle change in audio settings can make all the difference. If the Pokémon you're hunting isn't spawning, try adjusting your reset method. Maybe the fast travel points are too far apart, or perhaps the door method isn't refreshing the spawns effectively. Experiment with different techniques until you find one that works. Also, consider the time of day. Some Pokémon are more likely to spawn during the day, while others prefer the night. And finally, if you accidentally run out of Pokeballs, don't panic. Simply fly back to the nearest town and stock up. It's a minor inconvenience, but it's easily remedied. Always carry a healthy supply of Pokeballs with you, just in case. Remember, shiny hunting is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be times when you feel discouraged, when you've been hunting for hours without any luck, but don't give up. Keep your spirits high, stay focused, and trust in the process. The shiny will eventually appear, and when it does, it will be all the more rewarding. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I understand the loop, but how can I make it even efficient? Are there any settings I should adjust? Any specific strategies I should employ? And that's a fantastic question, because the truth is, there are definitely ways to optimize your shiny hunting setup to maximize your efficiency and minimize distractions. We're talking about fine-tuning your entire approach, from your in-game settings to your mental state. But that's a topic for another time. In the next chapter, we'll dive deep into the world of optimization, exploring the best settings, control schemes, and strategies for maximizing your shiny hunting potential. We'll uncover hidden tricks and techniques that will transform you from a casual shiny hunter into a true master of the craft. Get ready to supercharge your shiny hunting experience. Chapter 9. Maximizing efficiency, optimizing your hunting setup. Alright, so you've got your shiny hunting strategy down, you know where to go, and you're ready to put in the time. But are you maximizing your efficiency? Believe it or not, there are several things you can tweak in your in-game settings, your control scheme, and even your real-world environment that can significantly improve your shiny hunting experience. We're talking about cutting down on wasted time, reducing frustration, and ultimately finding those elusive shinies faster. Let's start with your in-game settings. Now this might seem obvious, but trust me, it's worth going over. The first thing you want to look at is your text speed. Do you really need to sit through every single line of dialogue at the default pace? Probably not. Crank that text speed up to the maximum. You'll be surprised how much time you save over the course of a long hunting session. Every second counts, and those seconds add up. Next, your battle animations. While they might be cool the first few times you see them, those fancy special effects are just eating up your time. Turn them off. Streamline those battles as much as possible. You're not here to admire the graphics, you're here to find a shiny. Efficiency is key, remember? Another often overlooked setting is the camera control. Experiment with different sensitivity settings to find what feels most comfortable and allows you to quickly scan your surroundings. A sluggish camera can mean missing a shiny that's spawned just outside your field of view. Smooth, responsive camera movement is crucial. And while we're talking about camera control, consider switching to a fixed camera angle if that suits your playstyle. Some players find that a fixed camera makes it easier to consistently spot Pokémon spawns, especially in areas with complex terrain. It's all about finding what works best for you, so don't be afraid to experiment. Now, let's move on to your control scheme. The default controls might be fine for general gameplay, but for shiny hunting, you want to optimize for speed and efficiency. Think about the actions you perform most frequently: moving, interacting with Pokémon, opening the menu. Can you remap any of these actions to buttons that are easier to reach? For example, if you find yourself constantly switching between Pokémon in your party, consider assigning that function to a shortcut button. Or, if you frequently use a particular item, map it to the D-pad for quick access. Little tweaks like these can make a surprisingly big difference in your overall hunting speed. Another thing to consider is whether you're playing in handheld mode or docked mode. Each mode has its own advantages and disadvantages when it comes to control. Handheld mode offers portability and the ability to play anywhere, but the smaller screen and controls might be less comfortable for long sessions. Docked mode provides a larger screen and the option to use a pro controller, which many players find more ergonomic. Experiment with both modes and see which one feels more comfortable and allows you to maintain focus for extended periods. Comfort is key because shiny hunting is a marathon, not a sprint. You want to be able to keep going for hours without getting fatigued. Okay, so we've covered in-game settings and control schemes. Now let's talk about minimizing distractions. This is where things get personal, because what constitutes a distraction for one person might be relaxing background noise for another. But the general principle is the same. Eliminate anything that's going to pull your attention away from the game and make you miss that crucial shiny sparkle. First and foremost, turn off notifications on your phone. Seriously, every buzz, ding and pop is a potential distraction that could cost you a shiny. Put your phone on silent, or better yet, put it in another room altogether. This is your time to focus and relax, not to scroll through social media. Next, consider your physical environment. Are you hunting in a noisy, cluttered space? If so, try to find a quieter, more organized area where you can concentrate. A comfortable chair, good lighting, and a clean workspace can all make a big difference in your ability to stay focused. And speaking of lighting, make sure your screen is properly calibrated. A screen that's too bright or too dim can cause eye strain, which will definitely detract from your hunting experience. Adjust the brightness and contrast until you find a level that's comfortable for your eyes. Another common distraction is background noise. If you live in a noisy environment, consider using noise-cancelling headphones or earplugs to block out unwanted sounds. Alternatively, you could put on some relaxing music or ambient sounds to create a more calming atmosphere. But be careful with your choice of music. While some people find music helpful for focusing, others find it distracting. Experiment with different genres and see what works best for you. Instrumental music is often a good choice, as it can provide a pleasant background ambience without being too intrusive. And while we're on the subject of sound, let's talk about the importance of listening for auditory shiny cues. As you probably know, shiny Pokémon emit a distinct sparkling sound when they appear. This sound can be incredibly helpful for spotting shinies, especially in areas with dense spawns or poor visibility. Make sure your game volume is turned up high enough that you can clearly hear the sparkling sound, but not so high that it's deafening. And pay attention to the other sounds in the game as well. The rustling of grass, the cries of Pokémon, and the ambient noises of the environment can all provide valuable clues about what's happening around you. Now, let's talk about optimizing your focus. Shiny hunting can be a repetitive and monotonous task, so it's important to find ways to stay engaged and motivated. One strategy is to set small, achievable goals for yourself. For example, you could aim to encounter a certain number of Pokémon in each hunting session, or to hunt for a specific amount of time. Another helpful technique is to take regular breaks. Don't try to hunt for hours on end without stopping. Get up, stretch, walk around, and give your eyes a rest. Even a short break can help you to clear your head and come back to the game feeling refreshed. And speaking of breaks, it's important to stay hydrated and nourished. Keep a water bottle and some healthy snacks nearby so you can refuel without having to leave your hunting spot. Hunger and thirst can both lead to fatigue and decreased focus, so make sure you're taking care of your physical needs. Another thing that can help with focus is to your goal. Imagine yourself finding that shiny Pokémon you're after. Picture the moment when you see those sparkling stars and hear that distinct sound. Visualizing your success can help to keep you motivated and focused on your goal. And finally, remember to be patient. Shiny hunting is a game of chance, and there's no guarantee that you'll find a shiny, no matter how hard you try. Don't get discouraged if you go for hours or even days without finding anything. Just keep at it, and eventually your persistence will pay off. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from in-game settings to control schemes to minimizing distractions and maximizing focus. But there's one more thing I want to talk about: the ideal time of day for shiny hunting sessions. Now, this might seem like a strange thing to consider, but believe it or not, the time of day can actually have an impact on your hunting efficiency. Not because of any in-game mechanics, but because of your own internal rhythms. Are you a morning person or a night owl? Do you find it easier to focus when you're fresh and alert, or when you're relaxed and winding down? Experiment with hunting at different times of day and see when you feel most focused and engaged. Some people find that they're most productive in the morning after a good night's sleep. Others prefer to hunt in the evening when they're feeling more relaxed and less pressured. And while we're talking about time of day, let's consider the in-game day-night cycle. Some Pokémon are more common at certain times of day, so if you're hunting for a specific Pokémon, you might want to adjust your hunting schedule accordingly. Remember the bench reset method, use it to your advantage. Finally, let's touch on the use of visual aids or tracking tools. While not strictly necessary, some hunters find it helpful to use tools like spreadsheets or checklists to keep track of their progress. This can be especially useful if you're hunting for multiple shinies at once, or if you're trying to keep track of how many encounters you've had. You can also use online resources like shiny hunting calculators to estimate your odds of finding a shiny based on your current shiny charm status and encounter count. While these calculators aren't perfectly accurate, they can give you a general idea of how close you might be to finding your target. Ultimately, the key to maximizing your efficiency in shiny hunting is to find what works best for you. Experiment with different settings, control schemes, and strategies until you find a combination that allows you to stay focused, engaged, and motivated. And remember to have fun. Shiny hunting should be a relaxing and enjoyable experience, not a stressful chore. By optimizing your setup and minimizing distractions, you'll be well on your way to finding those elusive shinies and building your dream team. So go out there, experiment, and see what works best for you. You might be surprised at how much of a difference a few simple tweaks can make. Now, you're ready to hunt. But is that all there is to it? We've covered the technical aspects of maximizing efficiency, but what about the mental and emotional side of shiny hunting? Is there a way to create an environment that's not only efficient but also relaxing and enjoyable? That's exactly what we'll be exploring in the next chapter, when we delve into the importance of creating a calming atmosphere for your shiny hunting sessions. You might be surprised at how much of an impact music, environment, and mindset can have on your overall experience. I hope you're as amazed by this as I am. If you want to stay updated on more content like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of curious minds. Trust me, what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew. Chapter 10. Creating the relaxing atmosphere. Music, environment, and mindset. Alright, so you've got your perfect shiny hunting location, you've mastered the reset techniques, and you understand the mechanics that make it all tick. But what about the hunter? Your comfort, your focus, your state of mind. These are just as crucial as any in-game strategy. Because let's face it, shiny hunting can be a grind, and if you're not in the right headspace, it's going to like a grind. Think of it like this. You wouldn't run a marathon in uncomfortable shoes, right? You need the right gear, the right preparation, and most importantly, the right mindset. And that's what we're going to explore in this chapter. How to craft the perfect environment, both internal and external, to turn your shiny hunting sessions into a truly relaxing and rewarding experience. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Relaxing? Shiny hunting? Those two words don't belong in the same sentence. And I get it. The pursuit of something rare can be inherently stressful, but that's precisely why we need to actively cultivate a sense of calm and detachment. We need to transform the hunt from a frantic search into a meditative practice. So, where do we begin? Well, let's start with the external environment, your physical space. This is your command center, your sanctuary, your happy place, and it should reflect that. Is your chair comfortable? Are you at the right distance from your screen? Is the lighting conducive to long periods of focus? These might seem like small details, but they can make a huge difference in your overall comfort level. Think about it. A stiff neck, a cramped back, eye strain. These are all distractions that pull you out of the zone and make the hunt feel like a chore. So take the time to optimize your setup. Invest in a good chair, adjust your monitor settings, and make sure you have adequate lighting. Your body will thank you for it, and your shiny hunting success rate might just improve as a result. But the physical environment is only half the battle. The auditory environment is just as important, if not more so. And this is where things get really interesting, because the right kind of sound can not only mask distractions, but also actively promote relaxation and focus. Now, I'm not talking about blasting heavy metal or listening to true crime podcasts. We're going for something a little more subtle, something that can fade into the background and allow your subconscious mind to relax and focus on the task at hand. So, what are some good options? Well, the possibilities are endless, but here are a few of my personal favourites. First up, ambient sounds. Think gentle rain, crashing waves, crackling fireplaces, or even the hum of a spaceship. There are tons of apps and websites that offer these kinds of sounds, and they can be incredibly effective at creating a calming and immersive atmosphere. The key is to find something that you find inherently soothing, something that doesn't distract you or draw your attention away from the game. For me, it's usually the sound of rain. There's something about the rhythmic patter of raindrops that just melts away stress and allows me to focus on the hunt. But ambient sounds are just the beginning. You can also try listening to instrumental music. Think classical music, jazz, or even video game soundtracks. The key is to choose music that is calming, repetitive, and non-lyrical. Lyrics can be distracting, as they tend to engage the conscious mind and pull you out of the flow state. Instrumental music, on the other hand, can provide a subtle backdrop that enhances your focus and promotes relaxation. And the great thing is, there are tons of options to choose from. You can find playlists specifically designed for studying, working, or even sleeping. Experiment and see what works best for you. Personally, I'm a big fan of lo-fi hip-hop. It's got a chill, mellow vibe that's perfect for long, shiny hunting sessions. But really, anything that you find calming and repetitive will do the trick. The goal is to create a soundscape that allows you to relax, focus, and immerse yourself in the hunt. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, But won't music distract me from listening for the shiny sparkle sound? And that's a valid concern. But the truth is, with the right kind of music and the right volume level, you can actually your ability to hear the shiny sparkle. Think of it like this. The music creates a kind of auditory white noise that filters out other distractions and allows the shiny sparkle to stand out more clearly. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency. You're essentially creating a sonic environment that is optimized for shiny hunting. And speaking of the shiny sparkle, this is where the repetitive nature of shiny hunting really comes into its own. Because the more you hear that sound, the more attuned you become to it. It becomes almost like a Pavlovian response. You hear the sparkle, and your brain automatically kicks into high gear. But it's not just about hearing the sparkle, it's also about seeing it. And this is where visual aids can come in handy. Some shiny hunters like to use colour filters on their screens to make the shiny Pokémon stand out more clearly. Others like to use tracking tools to keep track of their encounters and shiny rates. These tools can be helpful, but they can also be distracting. The key is to find a balance between using them to enhance your focus and allowing them to become a source of stress or anxiety. Remember, the goal is to relax and enjoy the hunt. And that brings us to the most important element of all, your mindset. Because no matter how perfect your environment or how optimized your setup, if you're not in the right headspace, the hunt is going to feel like a slog. So how do you cultivate a positive and patient mindset? Well, it starts with acceptance. Accepting that shiny hunting is a long and often unpredictable process. Accepting that you're not going to find a shiny every time you play. Accepting that sometimes you're going to go hours or even days without seeing a single sparkle, and that's okay. Because the joy of shiny hunting isn't just about finding the shiny, it's about the journey, it's about the anticipation, it's about the thrill of the chase, and it's about the satisfaction of finally finding that elusive Pokémon. So, how do you stay positive when the hunt gets tough? Well, one thing that I find helpful is to set small, achievable goals. Instead of focusing on finding a shiny, focus on completing a certain number of encounters, or focus on mastering a particular reset technique, or focus on simply enjoying the scenery and the music. By breaking the hunt down into smaller, more manageable chunks, you can avoid feeling overwhelmed and maintain a sense of progress, even when you're not finding any shinies, and that sense of progress can be incredibly motivating. Another thing that I find helpful is to practice mindfulness, to be present in the moment and to focus on the task at hand, to let go of expectations and simply enjoy the process. This can be especially helpful when you're feeling frustrated or impatient. Take a deep breath, focus on your senses and remind yourself that you're doing this for fun. You're not trying to win a competition or impress anyone. You're simply trying to relax and enjoy yourself. And if you can do that, the shinies will eventually come. And speaking of relaxation, don't underestimate the power of taking breaks. Shiny hunting can be mentally taxing, so it's important to step away from the game every now and then and give your brain a chance to recharge. Go for a walk, read a book, listen to some music, or just close your eyes and relax. Whatever you do, make sure it's something that you find enjoyable and that helps you to de-stress. And when you come back to the game, you'll be refreshed and ready to continue the hunt with renewed enthusiasm. Now, let's talk about the therapeutic benefits of repetitive tasks. Because believe it or not, shiny hunting can actually be good for your mental health. The repetitive nature of the hunt can be incredibly calming and meditative. It allows you to switch off your brain and simply focus on the task at hand. It's like knitting or gardening or any other activity that involves repetitive movements. It can be a great way to relieve stress, reduce anxiety, and improve your overall sense of well-being. And the added bonus is that you might just find a shiny Pokémon in the process. But it's important to remember that shiny hunting is not a substitute for professional mental health care. If you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or any other mental health issues, it's important to seek help from a qualified professional. Shiny hunting can be a fun and relaxing hobby, but it's not a cure-all. And it's important to approach it with a healthy and balanced perspective. So treat it as a fun way to relax and unwind, but don't rely on it to solve all of your problems. Okay, so we've covered the importance of creating a calming environment, both external and internal. We've talked about the power of music, the benefits of mindfulness, and the therapeutic potential of repetitive tasks. But what does all of this look like in practice? Well, let me give you an example. Imagine you're sitting in your favourite chair, with your game console or emulator fired up and ready to go. The lighting is soft and inviting, and the room is quiet and peaceful. You've got your headphones on and you're listening to a playlist of calming instrumental music. You're focused on the game, but you're not stressed or anxious. You're simply enjoying the process of exploring the wild zones and encountering new Pokémon. You're not expecting to find a shiny, but you're open to the possibility. And then suddenly, you hear it. The unmistakable sound of the shiny sparkle. Your heart rate quickens, your palms start to sweat, and your brain kicks into high gear. You approach the Pokémon cautiously, making sure not to startle it. And then you see it. The shimmering, sparkling sprite that you've been searching for. Your target shiny, finally within your grasp. You take a deep breath, save your game, and engage in battle. And after a few tense moments, you finally capture it. You've done it. You've found your shiny Pokémon. And the feeling of accomplishment and satisfaction is overwhelming. You've not only found a rare and valuable creature, but you've also proven to yourself that you have the patience, the skill, and the mindset to achieve your goals. And that, my friends, is the true joy of shiny hunting. It's not just about the shiny Pokémon, it's about the journey, the experience, and the personal growth that you undergo along the way. And by creating a relaxing and supportive environment, you can make that journey even more enjoyable and rewarding. So go out there, find your perfect shiny hunting spot, put on your favourite music, and embrace the process. And remember, the key is to relax, have fun, and enjoy the hunt. The shinies will come eventually. Just trust the process and believe in yourself. But before you rush off to start your next shiny hunting session, there's one more crucial element we need to discuss, and that's the importance of sharing your experiences with others. Because shiny hunting is not just a solitary pursuit, it's also a community, and that community is full of passionate, dedicated, and supportive individuals who are always willing to share their tips, their tricks, and their stories. And in the next chapter, we're going to dive into the world of shiny hunting fails and triumphs. We'll hear from real-life shiny hunters who have experienced both the highs and the lows of the hunt, and we'll learn from their mistakes and celebrate their successes. So stay tuned, because you won't want to miss it. What valuable insights can we glean from the collective experience of the shiny hunting community? That's what we'll uncover next. Chapter 11. Shiny Hunting, Fails and Triumphs. Real-life examples. Alright, let's talk about the heart and soul of shiny hunting, the stories, the exhilarating triumphs, and yes, the sometimes crushing defeats. We've all been there, haven't we? Hours melting away, the repetitive motions becoming almost meditative, and then nothing. Or worse, something goes horribly, hilariously wrong. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of those cautionary tales, let's celebrate the victories. Let's revel in the shared joy of that sparkling sprite finally appearing on your screen. I reached out to the community, and the responses were incredible. So many hunters willing to share their journeys, both the good and the bad. First up, we have a story from a hunter who goes by the name of Stardust Drifter. They were targeting a shiny Guyball in Wild Zone 8, that ground-type paradise we talked about. Stardust Drifter had been at it for days, using the fast travel reset method, and was starting to feel the burn. You know that feeling, right? Doubt creeps in. Is it even possible? Is my game broken? But Stardust Drifter persevered. And then, it happened. A Guyball spawned, but this one shimmered. It was the beautiful, teal-coloured shiny Guyball they had been dreaming of. Pure elation, right? But here's the kicker. Stardust Drifter almost missed it. They were so zoned out, so lost in the rhythm of the resets, that they nearly ran right past it. Luckily, that auditory cue, the sparkling sound, snapped them back to attention just in time. They saved immediately, and the capture was clean. A perfect shiny Gible, born from perseverance and a little bit of luck. What's the lesson here? Never give up, and always listen for that sparkle. Now, let's shift gears a bit. Because not all shiny hunting stories have happy endings. Sometimes the Pokémon gods can be cruel. This next story comes from a hunter called Trainer Twilight, and it's a tale of heartbreak and, well, let's just say questionable decision-making. Trainer Twilight was hunting for a shiny Luxray, a majestic electric type, and they were using the door method, repeatedly entering and exiting a zone to refresh spawns. They had been going for hours, and finally a shiny Luxray appeared. It was perfect, a stunning, slightly darker version of its original form. Trainer Twilight's heart leaped. This was it. But here's where things went south. In their excitement, they forgot to save. I know. We've stressed this 1,000,000 times. But it happens, especially when you're caught up in the moment. They initiated the battle feeling confident, but then disaster struck. The Luxray used self-destruct. Yes, you heard that right. Self-destruct. A move that causes the user to faint, taking the attacker down with it. Trainer Twilight watched in horror as their shiny Luxray exploded in a burst of light, vanishing forever. The silence that followed must have been deafening. All those hours, all that effort, gone in an instant. The lesson: save. Save early, save often, save like your shiny's life depends on it, because it does. Trainer Twilight learned that lesson the hard way, but the story doesn't end there. Trainer Twilight, fueled by rage and a thirst for redemption, went right back to hunting, and believe it or not, within another few hours another shiny Luxray appeared. This time they didn't forget to save. The capture was successful, and the shiny Luxray now sits proudly in their team. So, what can we learn from Trainer Twilight's rollercoaster of emotions? Save, yes, but also never give up on your dreams. Even when disaster strikes, you can always bounce back. Let's move on to another story, this one with a slightly different twist. This comes from a hunter named Shiny Seeker Sam, and it's a story about the importance of paying attention to the details. Shiny Seeker Sam was hunting for a shiny Hippowdon in, you guessed it, Wild Zone 8. Hippowdon, being a larger Pokémon, can sometimes be tricky to spot, especially if you're not paying close attention. Shiny Seeker Sam was using the bench rest method, changing the day-night cycle to refresh spawns. They were going through the motions, almost on autopilot, when they saw a Hippowdon spawn in the distance. They glanced at it, registered it as a normal Hippowdon and started to move on. But then something nagged at them. Something felt off. They paused, turned back and took a closer look, and that's when they saw it. The subtle colour difference, the slightly different shade of brown. It was a shiny. Shiny Seeker Sam had almost walked right past it, dismissing it as just another ordinary Hippowdon. The lesson here: don't get complacent. Pay attention to the details, even the subtle ones. A shiny might be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Now for a story that highlights the importance of knowing your target. This one comes from a hunter called Colorblind Collector. Now, I know what you're thinking. A colorblind shiny hunter. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. And, well, it almost was. Colorblind Collector was hunting for a shiny... Well, that's the problem. They weren't entirely sure they were hunting for. They had seen a picture of a shiny Pokémon online, and they thought it looked cool. They knew it lived in a certain wild zone, so they started hunting, hoping to stumble upon it. After hours of searching, they finally encountered a Pokémon that looked different. It was a slightly different colour than they expected, but they figured, hey, maybe the picture online was wrong. They engaged in battle, caught the Pokémon, and excitedly checked its summary. And that's when they realised their mistake. It wasn't a shiny at all. It was just a Pokémon with a slightly different natural colour variation. Colorblind Collector had spent hours hunting for something they couldn't even properly identify. The lesson? Know your target. Do your research. Make sure you know what the shiny version of the Pokémon you're hunting for actually looks like. Otherwise you might end up wasting your time on a wild goose chase. But Colorblind Collector didn't give up. They learned from their mistake, did their homework, and eventually found their target shiny. And the feeling of finally obtaining it was even sweeter because of the initial blunder. So, as you can see, shiny hunting is a journey filled with ups and downs, triumphs and tribulations. It's a test of patience, perseverance, and sometimes just plain luck. But the rewards are worth it. That feeling of finally finding that elusive shiny, that sparkling gem, is unlike anything else. These stories, I think, really underline the importance of the tips we've already discussed. The fast travel reset, the door method, the bench trick, the importance of saving, knowing the shiny differences. They all come together to create a more relaxing and ultimately successful shiny hunting experience. We've talked a lot about avoiding those crushing failures, but remember, even the best shiny hunters make mistakes. It's part of the process. The key is to learn from those mistakes, adapt your strategy, and keep hunting. Now for one final tale, a story that encapsulates the very essence of what we're trying to achieve here. A relaxing and rewarding shiny hunting experience. This comes from a hunter who simply goes by Zen Hunter. Zen Hunter was hunting for a shiny Ralts, a psychic Chasun fairy-type Pokémon known for its elegance and grace. They were using the fast travel reset method, but not with any particular urgency or intensity. They were simply enjoying the process, listening to calming music, sipping on a cup of tea, and letting the resets flow. They weren't focused on the outcome, but rather on the present moment. They were finding joy in the repetition, in the simple act of searching. And then, as if by magic, a shiny Ralts appeared. It was a beautiful, serene shade of blue, perfectly complementing the Zen Hunter's calm and peaceful state of mind. The capture was effortless, almost as if the shiny Ralts had been waiting for them all along. Zen Hunter didn't scream or shout or celebrate wildly. They simply smiled, appreciating the moment, and continued their relaxing shiny hunting journey. This story, I think, is the perfect illustration of what we're striving for. It's not just about finding shiny Pokémon, it's about finding a way to relax, to unwind, and to enjoy the process. It's about turning shiny hunting into a meditative practice, a way to escape the stresses of everyday life and find peace in the virtual world. So, keep these stories in mind as you embark on your own shiny hunting adventures. Learn from the mistakes of others, celebrate the triumphs, and most importantly, remember to relax and enjoy the journey. But even with all these incredible stories of success and failure, there's one aspect of shiny hunting that remains shrouded in mystery, a mechanic that, if understood, could drastically improve your chances. We've touched on spawn safety, but what if there was more to it than we initially thought? What if there was a way to manipulate the game's memory, to influence which Pokémon are more likely to appear as shiny? That's what we'll uncover next, because it turns out there are patterns in the code, secrets hidden just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered in our next chapter. Chapter 12. Conclusion. The joy of the hunt and the allure of the shiny. Okay, let's bring it all together. We've journeyed through the wild zones, mastered the art of the reset, and uncovered the secrets to efficient shiny hunting. But before we part ways, let's recap the core principles that will guide you on your own relaxing shiny hunting adventures. Remember, it all starts with the target. Which Pokémon are you dreaming of adding to your shiny collection? Once you've chosen your quarry, the next step is to locate their habitat. That's where our knowledge of the wild zones comes in. We've explored some prime locations like the ground-type paradise of Wild Zone 8, but don't be afraid to experiment and discover your own hidden gems. Now, the heart of our method, the reset. Whether you prefer the quick teleport of the fast travel technique, the zone refresh of the door method, or the day-night manipulation of the bench rest, mastering these techniques is key to controlling your spawns and maximizing your shiny chances. And never forget the golden rule, save before you engage. A moment of carelessness can erase hours of patient hunting, so always take that extra second to secure your progress. But beyond the techniques and strategies, there's something more profound at play here. It's the joy of the hunt itself. The quiet anticipation as you approach a new spawn, the thrill of the unexpected, and the sheer elation when that sparkling beauty finally appears. Shiny hunting, as we've explored, isn't just about collecting rare Pokémon. It's about finding a moment of peace, a repetitive rhythm that allows you to unwind and escape the stresses of daily life. It's about embracing the journey, not just the destination. And that's where the allure of the shiny truly lies. It's not just about the rarity, the bragging rights, or the completion of a collection. It's about the story behind each shiny, the hours of dedication, the near misses, and the ultimate triumph. Each shiny Pokémon is a testament to your patience, your perseverance, and your connection to the world of Pokémon. Think about it. Each encounter, each reset, each moment spent in the wild zones is a small step forward. And with each step, you're not just getting closer to a shiny Pokémon, you're also building a sense of accomplishment, a feeling of calm, and a deeper appreciation for the simple joys of the game. What could be more rewarding than that? Now let's talk about the sounds, the auditory cues that can make or break a shiny hunt, the subtle sparkle that signals the arrival of your prize. Learning to listen for these sounds is crucial, especially if you're shiny hunting while multitasking or relaxing. Imagine this. You're lounging on the couch, watching your favourite show, controller in hand. You're casually resetting spawns in Wild Zone 8, half listening, half watching. Suddenly, a faint but unmistakable sparkle pierces through the background noise. Your eyes snap to the screen, and there it is, a gleaming golden sand shrew, a testament to your passive persistence. That's the power of auditory cues. They allow you to shiny hunt almost unconsciously, turning a potentially tedious task into a relaxing background activity. But what about when things go wrong? What about the dreaded shiny fail? We've all been there. A misclick, a critical hit, a sudden power outage. These moments can be heartbreaking, but they're also a part of the learning process. The key is to learn from your mistakes, to adapt your strategies, and to never give up hope. Remember, every shiny fail is a lesson learned, a reminder to be more careful, more prepared, and more resilient. And speaking of resilience, let's not forget the importance of mindset. Shiny hunting can be a long and arduous process, and it's easy to get discouraged. That's why it's so important to cultivate a positive and patient attitude. Instead of focusing on the lack of shinies, try to appreciate the journey itself. Enjoy the scenery, experiment with different reset methods, and challenge yourself to find new and efficient hunting routes. And most importantly, remember to take breaks. Shiny hunting is a marathon, not a sprint. If you're feeling burnt out, step away from the game, recharge your batteries, and come back with a fresh perspective. Think of it like this. You're a seasoned explorer, charting new territories in the wild zones. Each encounter is a data point, each reset is a refinement of your strategy, and each shiny is a treasure discovered. And as you explore, remember to share your experiences with the community, connect with other shiny hunters, exchange tips and tricks, and celebrate each other's successes. After all, shiny hunting is more fun when it's a shared experience. So, you've got your target Pokémon, you know your wild zones, and you've mastered the reset methods. You're listening for those crucial auditory cues, and you're saving religiously before every encounter. You're cultivating a positive mindset, taking breaks when needed, and sharing your experiences with the community. You're ready to embark on your own relaxing, shiny hunting adventure. But before you go, let's address a few common pitfalls and troubleshooting tips. What happens if you accidentally knock out a shiny Pokémon? What if you run out of Pokéballs? What if you encounter a shiny locked Pokémon? These are all valid concerns, and it's important to be prepared for them. First, if you accidentally knock out a shiny Pokémon, don't panic. As long as you haven't saved, you can simply reset your game and try again. That's why saving before every encounter is so crucial. Second, always make sure you have a sufficient supply of Pokéballs. There's nothing worse than encountering a shiny Pokémon and realizing you're out of ammo. Stock up on Pokéballs before you start your hunting session, and consider using different types of Pokéballs for different Pokémon. Third, be aware of shiny locked Pokémon. Some Pokémon, like certain legendaries or event-exclusive Pokémon, cannot be shiny in the wild. Do your research before you start hunting, and don't waste your time on Pokémon that are impossible to find shiny. Now let's talk about maximizing your efficiency. What are some ways to optimize your hunting setup and minimize distractions? First, consider adjusting your in-game settings. Turn off unnecessary animations, reduce the volume of background music, and customize your control scheme to suit your playstyle. Second, minimize distractions. Turn off notifications on your phone, close unnecessary tabs on your computer, and find a quiet and comfortable place to hunt. Third, consider using visual aids or tracking tools. Some shiny hunters use spreadsheets or checklists to track their progress and stay organized. Others use online tools to calculate shiny odds and plan their hunting routes. And finally, let's talk about the ideal times of day for shiny hunting sessions. Some shiny hunters prefer to hunt during the day, when they're more alert and focused. Others prefer to hunt at night, when they can relax and unwind before bed. Ultimately, the best time to shiny hunt is whenever you feel most comfortable and focused. Experiment with different times of day and find what works best for you. So, you've got your strategies, your techniques, and your troubleshooting tips. You're ready to embark on your own shiny hunting journey. But before you do, let's talk about the most important aspect of all, creating a relaxing atmosphere. Shiny hunting, as we've emphasized throughout this guide, is not just about collecting rare Pokémon. It's about finding a moment of peace, a repetitive rhythm that allows you to unwind and escape the stresses of daily life. And one of the best ways to create that relaxing atmosphere is to curate your environment. Choose calming background music, ambient sounds, or podcasts to listen to while you hunt. Find a comfortable place to sit or lie down, and make sure you have everything you need within reach. Think of it like this. You're creating a sanctuary, a personal oasis where you can escape the chaos of the world and immerse yourself in the simple joys of shiny hunting. And as you immerse yourself, remember to maintain a positive and patient mindset. Shiny hunting can be a long and arduous process, and it's easy to get discouraged. That's why it's so important to cultivate a sense of gratitude, a feeling of appreciation for the simple things in life. Appreciate the beauty of the wild zones, the diversity of the Pokémon, and the thrill of the hunt. Focus on the journey, not just the destination, and remember that every encounter is a step closer to your goal. And most importantly, remember to be kind to yourself. Shiny hunting is a hobby, not a competition. There's no pressure to find a shiny quickly, and there's no shame in taking breaks or switching to a different game. The goal is to relax, to unwind, and to enjoy the process. And that, my friends, is the true essence of relaxing shiny hunting. We've covered a lot of ground in this guide, from understanding shiny rates and mechanics to mastering reset, techniques, and optimizing your hunting setup. We've explored prime shiny hunting locations, delved into the mysteries of spawn safety, and emphasized the importance of creating a relaxing atmosphere. But the most important takeaway is this: shiny hunting is more than just a game. It's a journey, a process, a way to connect with the world of Pokémon on a deeper level. And as you embark on your own shiny hunting adventures, remember to share your experiences with the community. Connect with other shiny hunters, exchange tips and tricks, and celebrate each other's successes. After all, the joy of the hunt is amplified when it's shared. So, go forth, explore the wild zones, and embrace the allure of the shiny. May your hunts be fruitful, your encounters be memorable, and your experiences be filled with joy. If this story resonated with you, there's plenty more. Click the video on screen to keep the journey going, or dive into the full Pokémon playlist for more stories, memories, and deep dives. Whichever path you choose, I'll see you there, trainer.